tell me a little bit about your thoughts overall on the lignite industry. It seems as though as our boom in the oil industry has ramped up, it was just so much attention to that for understandable reasons. You had literally an industry coming out of the ground in this great renaissance, and you forget one that's been here as long as they have. And then you get this regulation onslaught, this attack that came from most of the 8 years of the Obama administration. So I think I at least felt a little bit of a resurgence to say, hey, these are our friends, and they're under attack. Let's stand with them. And so that's balanced out a little bit. What's your take?
Well, I think one thing for sure is that, in the legislature, and especially in the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, we look at our balanced portfolio of being an energy-producing state. And we saw the increases inside of the oil and gas industries. But remember, those processing plants and those rigs and that whole industry runs off of reliable power. And, it was very evident as we were watching the siting projects when Base Electric came in and said, we need to put a new line in out there. We need to put a backup gas-powered generating plant out there because we can't keep up with the load because of what's going on in the energy industry. So not only, are we partners inside of all facets of energy, we have to remember that, the lignite energy, when we go to turn a light switch on, they are the base load of our power. They are the guaranteed circuit that we get to light.
Really good points, without question. And that partnership is something we don't think about either because as, one industry, be it oil and gas or anything, but obviously oil and gas is one that has been a pretty good resurgence of over the last 10 years. As more and more of that happens, there's all kinds of much more city and other areas to power, and one has to go right there through the other. So that baseload is really, really important. What is your sense of how the industry has weathered the regulatory onslaught?
Well, there obviously has been no other industry under so much pressure from the anti-fossil fuel folks than the lignite industry. We've been a leader in North Dakota in clean air. We've been a leader in clean coal technology. I mean, we have scientists that are hired inside of the industry that have patents on ways of making lignite burn clean. And, for me, I want the reliability that comes with the lignite coal and the coal-fired power plants. I also want the jobs that go with it, and I want the state of North Dakota to use as much of the $100 million in excise taxes that we collect off of this industry in research and development. We have an over 800-year supply of lignite energy, and we have to make sure that we put that to beneficial use for generations to come. And one of the ways we can do that is to reinvest in that industry and develop ways to make the industry better.
How, first give me some examples of ways we have reinvested and maybe a couple of things you think we can do to take that to the next level.
Well, of course, all of the emphasis has been on the CO2 reduction in emissions, but, we've been doing things to take the mercury out of the plants, and we've been doing things to make it a better, cleaner way to produce electricity. And also, it's affordable. And when you look at an economy and you look at their gross national product, you have to have reliable, inexpensive energy before you get manufacturers and before you get industries wanting to locate in your state. So when I look at our value-added portfolio, whether it be an ethanol plant or whether it be a gas processing plant out in western North Dakota, they're here because there's a value to being here, and part of that value is our inexpensive power for them to be on the grid.
We're chatting with the chair of the committee that deals with much of this industry, the Energy and Natural Resources Committee in the North Dakota House, Todd Porter, representative from Mandan, just talking a little bit about what the lignite industry means to the state. If you had every North Dakotan in a room and you asked them to raise their hand if they felt they had a pretty good understanding of this industry, do you think 10% of the hands would go up, 20%? I feel as though we just sort of take the fact that the light switch is there and we flip it and it's on and it's good, that we sometimes take for granted what it takes to do the energy development, the energy production that we do in North Dakota out of this industry.
Well, I think you're right. The people that live here in western North Dakota and that have been part of the growing of the power plants and of the industry are very well aware of what it means. I think the further away you get from the generation, I think less and less understand what goes into making that kilowatt. And for North Dakota, we look at it as those value-added jobs inside of the energy industry, just as much as we look at the jobs at the refinery in Mandan, at the ethanol plant in Richardson, and the ethanol plant in Castleton. Those are all value-added jobs from a raw natural product that we have in North Dakota. And our future as far as our economy is to take our own natural resources, add the value to them, whether it's a plastics plant using the natural gas liquids, or it's the expansion of our power plants, CO2 capture to get more oil out of the ground, any of that stuff, and use our products to benefit the state and benefit the people of the state of North Dakota.
Final question, in a sentence or two, what do you personally believe the lignite industry means to North Dakota?
Well, I think it means a very stable tax stream. I think that it means clean power, reliable electricity for not only for the state of North Dakota, but for the power grids that we're connected to. Now that everything kind of runs through power grids, we're making power that's reliable for Minnesota. We're making power that's reliable all the way down into Texas and Oklahoma. And it all has to come from our coal-fired power plants.
And by the way, I want to, just so you're still on the phone here, I can use you as my person to back this up. I just received a text of an invite to go pheasant hunting, and I don't believe I begged for one. Did I? I don't even think
I did not hear a beg.
No.
I think you said that the people that have the spots are going to be very popular.
Exactly. That's what I said. Yeah, they're popular, and and that people would be calling them. Not that they would. I would. That was not a solicitation for a.
I would hope that you remember my phone number as you're going. I got a brand new dog that would love to show you how to do it.
There you go. Todd and I are on our way. Thanks for the invite. Don't let that one get too cold. That's for sure. All right. Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it.
You bet, Scott. Nice visiting with you.
You too. Representative Todd Porter, Chair of the Energy and Natural Resources Committee in North Dakota. Talking a little Lignite with us today on the program.